Testing, testing, testing. There we go. Okay, so I am going to do another video today, hopefully with audio, where I show you how to make a cover. So I use GIMP. You can see up here um, that's the software that I use, and GIMP stands for GNU Image Manipulation Program. It's an open source software that is similar to Photoshop. And the dimensions that I tend to do my ebook covers in now is 1600 pixels wide by 2500 pixels high. And as I showed you in my fast forward video that I uploaded yesterday, I like, you know what, that's weird that you can still see that's my teaser for my, this book on the left here is currently free. It had a BookBub feature deal today, and the whole series is now available to buy or order in ebook because this book comes out in May. So the first 4 books are available. Each one is a standalone romance about a different couple, and the whole series is available. But that's not the point of this video. So we're gonna just cover that up so it doesn't distract us. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to make a cover. And the way that I made the cover in the fast forward video that you saw yesterday was I started with the author name, then I added the image behind it. I'm going to talk a little bit more about each of those steps, and finally I added the title. There is so much to talk about with cover design that we're going to do this, we're going to do a bunch of these videos because I actually had a lot of fun doing that one yesterday. So I'm going to make this one for myself. Yesterday was not for me. Yesterday I did like a random author name, but I'm going to do my own so that you can see kind of how I do it actually for myself. So my name is always in trebuchet, kerned out just a little bit. Often I'll do like 300. And often I put my name at the top of the cover like that. But I could also do it at the bottom like this. And on at least one free ebook duet that I have it stacked like that, which is kind of a nice way to do it. And then you can make your name bigger. So I'm gonna, I don't know, maybe I'll play around with this. So my name on the cover. And the reason why I do the name first is because your name is your brand stamp. And so I think that if you try and work your name around a picture, if you start with the picture, and so what I'm doing over here is I'm adjusting the line space between the 2 lines of text. You could also get fancy and manipulate each of those lines individually, but that's not how I do things. I am not a professional graphic designer. I am a hack. And so if you're going to watch these videos, you're going to see me do a lot of hackish things. And I am a New York Times and USA Today best-selling author. And I talk like this out loud to myself as I make covers. So I thought, well, I might as well talk out loud to myself. You know what? Those should be italics because those are proper names. So italics for you and italics for you. So I like to make all of my individual components as separate layers. You can see over here on the right hand side we have our layer control, and you can see that the best-selling tagline is its own layer, my author name is its own layer, and then right now we have this basic white background which will eventually get covered up by an image. All right, so I mean these are not, I haven't bothered to center them or anything like that just yet, but I have them roughly placed out, and I'm going to fix that once we get to the end. The next step is to import open as a layer. Again, I like to work everything in layers. I have some stock photo somewhere. Here I have some stock photos, book covers for YouTube that I have saved. And I don't know why, but GIMP doesn't show me to me in a nice, neat, I can't really, there we go. Let's, oh, this one's pretty. I actually used this photo for a Navy SEAL romance cover, Fall Away, but now I've gone back to just man chests for those guys. So we could use this image for this collection or something. I don't even know what it's going to be. So I'm going to insert this image. And sometimes when you're doing graphic stuff, it really does take a while. Oh, that's, you know what? That's very pretty, like just the way, except his belt is terrible. I'm going to show you how to cover up terrible things like that. But I mean, this is how I kind of did it when I used this cover for something else. Then I'll start to move the image around. And what I'm looking for is two things. I'll do a whole separate video on it, but there's this rule of thirds and also the Fibonacci sequence rule where you kind of want um, your eye to be drawn to like if you can imagine a spiral kind of thing, or divide your page into threes, and you want things to draw at the cross. So except that I don't like his hair, but you kind of want their faces to be right about here for the book design. That's okay. It's not great. But another option would be to like offset it and bring them down like that. And then you could put a tagline or something like this. So I like to play around with different options like that. And I think I'm probably going to bring it up. So it's more their embrace that becomes the center of my focal point there, but the reason why I did that is because this is kind of a better base for my name. I'm going to do a transparent. So this is a gradient that I'm pulling from the foreground color. See FG to transparent. If you click there, F foreground, FG to transparent. So I want that. And then I will just switch my foreground. And now I'm doing a white to transparent gradient, and I'm going to do it on a separate layer like this, just like that. Little fancy noises definitely help. You don't want to lose his awesome arm. His arm there is very nice. And if you are going to do a paperback, really, I mean, like probably if you're a professional, you might want to start with the paperback design, but I am not that kind of fancy professional. And so I always, always, always start with the ebook cover and then have to like reverse engineer a paperback out of this design. Don't do what I do, people. Do what I say, which is, maybe start with the paperback design, but my brain doesn't work like that. My brain thinks in ebooks. So there we go. Like we have an image, we have my name popping nicely off of it. And now we need some sort of title. I don't even know what this book is going to be, but let's say this might be a Navy SEAL book. So A SEAL Forever. No, that's a terrible title. I did this yesterday too, where I like tried a bunch of different titles and I didn't like any of them. One night to last forever. I really love long titles and they become really hard to I don't really know what I want to do here for the title. Maybe I might fast forward this part of the video while I sit here and randomly think of, I don't know. Oh, you know what? We could pretend that this is going to be one of my new Kincaids of Pine Harbor books. So they are something at heart. So this is maybe going to be called Sweet at Heart, which is not one of the titles that I've currently, it's not one of the ones that I'm currently considering. And off the top of my head, I can't even tell you what the font is that I use for that. Be more organized, like have these sorts of things written down. I've made that way too big. Way too big. I really feel like these videos might be better sped up. What was I thinking? And like, should at be capitalized? It probably shouldn't. There, that's better. So this would be like an alternate design for, and now is a good time for me to actually, properly bring in a guideline. So my book is 1600 pixels wide, so I put the guideline at 800. And then I can properly center. And so what I do is part of it is the rule of thirds, but also part of it is moving the font around until it's at a spot that I like on the image. And this one I definitely want to do, not black. Popping off her hair, that's not a great color. And a lot of it is, I actually really like blue. That's actually really nice. Maybe it needs to be a touch darker. So I'll do a lot of like playing around like this. What does the dark blue look like off of her hair? So, and then once you have kind of an idea, then you might go in with a new separate layer with a brush at like a low opacity. You can see I already did this. I was working on the other cover that I did yesterday. And then I go in and I'll just like paint a little bit behind. That doesn't look great. Paint a little bit behind the letters, but that actually looks terrible. But here you can see how it works over here. So I'll paint white here, and then that all of a sudden pops out really nicely. And the same with sweet. And you can kind of trace with your brush the letters. And it's kind of the same as doing shading, but it just looks more organic. And we'll do that. It doesn't work on her hair. And so honestly, at this point, I might be like, I might tell myself, we need to find a different image. That's entirely possible. New layer. No, I'm going to duplicate this layer. Or what you can do is, and you may have seen this yesterday in the fast forward video, this is how I do like a little drop shadow. I do it manually. I do a separate text layer, and then I go, ready? This is my high tech. I count down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then over to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I always do 5. I don't know why. That's just my default. And so that pops the name nicely off of her hair a little bit. This is not my most favorite cover that I've ever made, but anyway, it shows you the principle of yeah, that's better with the blue. It shows you the principle of your title is one element. Your name is a brand stamp. It's a separate element. And then your background art, your image, but also these like over here, these blurring layers, the gradient layers, they're everything is its own separate layer. And that's how, so now let's get rid of that. I don't want to show the guides. There we go. That's the cover. So I think that that's a pretty good example of how I build a cover with a bit more detail. And if anybody has any questions about that, please let me know in the comments. This was a lot of fun again. And if you haven't seen my fast forward the 8 times video, which shows the same thing but like way faster, go and take a look at that. I will link to that in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. I'm probably going to do a lot of these cover videos because my goal is that over this period of time where we are all isolating at home, that a lot of people get really good at doing their own covers. So I'm happy to help with that as much as I can with my hackish cover mechanic approach to things. This was a lot of fun, and I will be back tomorrow with another video.